All right, so UFC 311 just wrapped up last night, and I'm gonna keep it real with y'all. First things first, call me a casual, but I didn't watch most of the prelims. I'm gonna be real. I only saw from Peyton Talbot up. So I didn't see Renya Nakamura, but I heard he fought pretty bad, so I'm a little disappointed in my Japanese king, but you know, it is what it is. What else happened? Eileen Perez somehow keeps winning fights. That happened apparently. Anthony Smith's twin won again. Oh, I did see the Zach Reese and what's the other dude's name? Oh my gosh, yo, I'm about to get the casual comments. I'm not even trying to look and check. But oh boy, the guy who made his debut. Loki has some back of the head shots, but let's talk about what's really important though. And that's Islam and Renato Moicano. So I'm gonna keep it real with y'all, right? Made a video yesterday talking about how Renato Moicano was going to be the toughest fight for Islam, and okay, see, I have a problem, y'all. I don't know if y'all have this problem where you ever see a fight where you know the underdog has like no chance, but because you kind of want to add something to the conversation and you really want to get yourself excited for the fight, you almost gaslight yourself into thinking that person has a better chance than they do. I low-key gaslit myself into thinking Renato Moicano could low-key go out there not win. I didn't say he was going to win, but I low-key thought like it could make it a little more competitive, and it looked like that for the first 2 minutes. Like first 2 minutes, Renato's out here, you know, throwing the jab, low-key looking a little slick, and then as soon as he got taken down, not gonna lie, I can't even say nothing about Renato though. He was supposed to be fighting Beneil, and it's not like he beat anybody near the caliber of Islam, so you can't really say much about Moicano. I don't think his stock drops in any way, considering the circumstances. But man, did I really actually expect him to do better, or was I gaslighting myself? I really don't know which one it was. But again, let's talk about Islam though. Islam Makhachev, this is weird because, like I said, this is his Ally Quinta moment where Khabib won the belt off of Ally Quinta, in which Ally Quinta, and Islam got his fourth now title defense against Renato Moicano of all people. So it's about the same if you really think about it, but does that make Islam the lightweight GOAT now after beating Renato? For me, I still say no, because here's my whole thing about it, right? Islam, I get it, has the better names on the resume, you could argue, but to me though, again, I hate to be that person. I hate to sound like that person, but I'm gonna definitely do it. Khabib only officially ever lost one round. I'm just saying. We never see Khabib look like how Islam looked against Volk and against Dustin. And that's not to say that it's easy to fight Volk or Dustin, but Khabib did fight Dustin. Arguably a better version of Dustin. And he was never in that much trouble or had that much issue finishing the fight. Islam is still one of the greats. I'd say he's top 15 right now all time. I wouldn't put him top 10 yet. He's like close. He's close to top 10. But I think what you do with Islam now going forward is you got to do him and Charles Oliveira. I think you got to do that fight. Arman, I'm sorry, bud, but even Dana said it. You're not getting a rematch, all right? Arman can go fight. I say he can go fight Chandler, go fight, no, he can't fight Beneil again because he literally just beat Beneil. Oh my gosh. I think you got to do him and Chandler or do him and Gamrot because Gamrot actually does have a win over him. So I think you do Arman and Gamrot, and Charles gets the next fight against Islam, because I know people were thinking about maybe doing double champ with Islam, but I think by the time Bilal and Shavkat fight, that'll be a little bit too long from now. So let's have Islam and Charles do the rematch. And totally not biased, by the way, with that matchmaking, but I feel like that actually does make sense. And if we talk about the co-main event, so hold on real quick. I want y'all to look me in the eye real quick. Y'all all owe me an apology, and y'all owe Merab Dvalishvili an apology. Y'all sat there and tried to gaslight me into thinking Umar Nurmagomedov was just gonna dog walk Merab. Merab literally, see this what, man, I don't want to get I'm not even monetized. I was about to say don't get demonetized, but here's all I'm gonna say. And I'm gonna say this is a specific rant I have for all you technique nerds out there, all right? I get it. Fighting is about technique. Skill level matters. All these things matter. But at the end of the day, it's a fist fight, bro. And some of y'all like to discredit when somebody has a physical advantage over someone else. Y'all sat there and looked at a man who has a third lung, never gets tired in a fight. And y'all sat here and told me this dude had no chance against Umar. I get it. Umar looked great against Corey. Get it? One ranked win. I get it. He's got cool question mark kicks. Great wrestling. He looked good in the first 2 rounds or so. But like I said, right, Umar was just going to outwork him. And everybody acted like that was a crazy statement. That the guy who has outworked everyone else previously couldn't do it to him because it's a Nurmagomedov. But nonetheless, though, Umar is legit, though, still. He's still legit. I think Umar, honestly, if I'm thinking about who he should fight next, realistically, I think you do him versus Figueiredo if Figueiredo wants to stay at 135. If not, you could do him and Sean or him and Petr Yan, whichever one you want to do. Maybe if you want Petr Yan to do the rematch against Merab. But here's the problem, though, right? Who do you put up against Merab in a rematch? Like, let's not forget, y'all. Let's not forget. One sec. Do y'all seriously want to see Merab rematch Petr Yan? Like, I get it. Petr Yan has looked good since the loss. But, like, realistically, do you think that fight goes any different? Y'all, see, like, you look, you don't even think so. You don't even think so. Don't even answer. I can't even see whoever's watching, but I know you don't even think so. Do you think the Sean O'Malley fight goes any different? Of course you don't think it goes any different, right? So, I don't even know, man. Personally, put Pantoja up there. Have Pantoja move from flyweight and go fight Merab. I think that's an intriguing matchup. I don't know if Pantoja is going to have a strong chance of beating Merab, but I think at least it's something new. Because I guess there's nothing wrong with a rematch if it's Petr Yan, but I just don't see it, bruh. I don't see it. Okay? Let's talk about Jamal here and Yuri. All right. Here's my thing. I rock with Jamal. I really do. And I rock with Yuri too. This is one of the most entertaining fights of the year so far. Although we only had 2 fight cards this year. That was, why did I just say the most entertaining fights of the year? Like we just were not in the, okay. But I actually didn't even mean that facetiously. I meant that seriously. But the issue is, right, I don't know if I'm just like too bitter and too negative, but I watched that fight and all I could think about is, oh, these dudes never touching the belt anytime soon. Like, I'm not even trying to be rude. I'm really not. Yuri Prochazka, I think he has like Max Holloway, Robert Whittaker syndrome where he might just be beating everyone else below him in the rankings, but he won't be the champ like at all. But then at the same time, right, I feel like Yuri is so beatable by, like, I feel like Carlos Oberg can beat this dude. I'm very convinced Carlos Oberg is beating Yuri Prochazka. He's got to beat Jan Blachowicz first, obviously. But Yuri Prochazka, he looked worse to me somehow. Like, I feel like this was the worst I've ever seen Yuri fight, even when he lost to Alex. I'm not sure if I'm just being overly dramatic about it or whatnot, but I feel like he looked slower. I know that his technique never looks quote unquote good, but it didn't even look that fluid. And with Jamal, maybe Jamal Hill's not going to talk about this. Not that I know, but I think that dude was injured. Because to me, going out there with the Stone Cold Steve Austin knee pads and all, bro, I think he had to have some type of knee injury or some type of leg injury. Because I get that his footwork hasn't looked the best, even pre this fight. But I don't know, man. Like, I think he looked his footing just looked weird. I don't know if that's just me, though. I don't know. When I ever see the 2 knee sleeves, I always get caught. It's always a cause for concern. But Jamal, at this point, I think you do him and Khalil Roundtree. I think that's the next logical fight for Jamal. And as for Yuri Prochazka, I say you give him the winner of either Jan Blachowicz and Carlos Oberg. But you could do the loser of that fight and then have the winner that. Oh, but then is Alex even going to fight another fight at light heavyweight? It's really hard to know, to be honest. It all depends on what happens between Magomed and Alex. So Yuri he just has to chill out and wait because he really, if Alex still holds the belt, he's got no chance at touching it for a while. So De Ridder and Holland, all right, this fight is a touchy subject for me because it combines 2 things for me, right? I'll talk about the less sensitive topic first. De Ridder. Okay, I somehow, right, am so confused how I feel about Reindeer. His name's not Reindeer. Rainer De Ridder. Why did I call him Reindeer De Ridder, bro? Because on one hand, right, I watched Rainer de Ritter fight GM3, and my first thought after seeing him fight for 2 minutes is I was like, this dude might be the worst UFC fighter I've ever seen in my life. Like, I'm not even trying to be dramatic, but I genuinely, right, because I never watched anything in one championship. All right, I'm a casual. I don't watch one championship like that. I'm sorry. I don't watch it like that. But I saw him get in there, and I saw this man go to war with GM3 on the feet. So I was like, this dude's a double champ? Bro, this is making one championship look like real bad right now. But then when I saw his jiu-jitsu, I was like, yo, this dude's low-key top 5, though. So I don't know. Is this dude like, I don't know, because his wrestling is low-key not anything crazy, but his jiu-jitsu is like 10 out of 10. But I didn't see any of his striking against Holland. And then this is where I segue into the other more touchy topic for me, or the sensitive subject for me, which is Kevin Holland, right? Kevin Holland, to me, is such an interesting fighter to me, because on one hand, right, I remember the run of 2020 with Holland where I genuinely believe this dude was had at least title aspirations, maybe not winning the belt, but I thought, he could at least get up there like top 5. And I still believe that, just not at middleweight. And I get it. Kevin Holland said he doesn't care about the belt, so I'm not going to push it and say he needs to lock in so he can be a champion. That doesn't matter. But at the same time, though, you got to take your career like semi-serious, though, if you want to stay in the UFC. Like, you just can't say, I'm going to just go in there and just fight anybody, win, lose, or draw, because you don't want to dare until max yourself out the UFC. Not saying he will. I highly doubt it. But Kevin Holland, I think, needs to stay at 170. Regardless if he wants to do the weight cut or not. I think if he wants to at least just be in the top 10, top 15 range, at least minimum, so he at least gets like decent names and he can still stay active, I think 170 is the move. Only take 185 fights if you really want to take a short notice fight, but just taking it straight up, though, I think just seeing the size difference between him and everybody else, I just don't think it's ideal. But again, it's Kevin Holland's career. He makes from what I see, with the disclosed payout, that dude made a decent amount of money. He made $250K disclosed. So I get it, man, why he wants to fight so many times in a year. And if not having to do the weight cut and fight at 185 is how he does it, and he really doesn't care, go for it. But it's just more, I don't want to see him going on like a crazy losing streak or anything. Not that I don't see him going on a losing streak, but it'd just be iffy, though, for him at 185. And we got to talk about Peyton Talbot, though, real quick. All right, Peyton Talbot, I think, right? A lot of people are going to call this a fraud check and say, oh my gosh, he wasn't ever that good. He wasn't all that. But I don't necessarily feel that way. I think this is the fight that I think helps him grow. It's one of those ones where you're going to look back on it and see a lot of growth from him. Obviously, the grappling didn't look good. Barcelos absolutely dog walked him in the grappling department. But in the striking, though, Peyton still looked good. I remember Barcelos was way better like 2 years ago, but in the striking, he looked like he didn't even want to bother. Like, it was like every time he got touched by Peyton, he was so close to going out, but he just kept taking Peyton down, and Peyton just didn't really know how to get up. Now, Peyton, his defense in terms of submissions is really, really solid. But in terms of just being able to get back up to the feet and keep the fight standing, I think this was an important fight for him. So I know UFC fans are starting to turn to boxing fans now. Whenever a young prospect loses a fight against someone who doesn't have the biggest name, they call it a fraud check. But sometimes it's okay, bro. You lose a fight early in your career, it's no biggie. Payne still got aura. I hate using that word, but I feel like it fits for him. In terms of Barcelos is honestly way better than I think a lot of people were giving him credit for whatever reason. I was surprised he was that big of an underdog, but I get it because Peyton Talbot has so much hype going into him, and I don't think most of it should go away, but I know with how UFC fans are, they're going to definitely take away a little bit of it. And so Jailton Almeida, right? Again, he's another guy where I'm like, this dude's at a crossroads. Because on one hand, Almeida can beat anyone who's ranked below Almeida, and I don't have the rankings in front of me, but I'm pretty sure that this is not an incorrect statement. Every heavyweight who is ranked below Jailton Almeida, I think he beats him pretty convincingly, unless there's someone I'm genuinely just overlooking, but I'm pretty sure he beats everyone below him ranked-wise. Sergey Spivak made it look relatively easy, right? But then here's the issue. If Jailton Almeida wants to be a champion, let's be honest, guys. I want everybody to look me in the eye real quick. Do you think Jailton Almeida can beat Tom Aspinall? Probably not. And that's not a hate on Jailton. It's like, realistically, look at the skill set, which is his jiu-jitsu. maybe he probably has the best jiu-jitsu. No, not probably. He has the best jiu-jitsu at heavyweight. Wrestling is decent wrestling, but his striking looked better. But it's Spivak though. You know what I'm saying? It's Spivak. You know, so it's not much you can make of it. He wants Cyril Gane. I think that's a logical #1 contenders fight. You do him and Cyril Gane. Winner gets a title shot at some point, I guess, in the future. Whenever they figure out the whole Tom Aspinall, John Jones debacle, if that fight even ever happens. But in terms of the last thing I want to talk about, which is the guy who was the biggest winner, Beneil Dariush. Beneil Dariush got paid his show and his win money. He didn't have to fight at all. All he had to do was just cut weight. And they promised him a big fight. So that makes me think he's either getting 1 of 3 fights, right? That means Beneil's either going to fight Dustin, he's either fighting Patty, or he's fighting Chandler. It's got to be one of those 3 if they're talking about he gets a big fight. Now, I feel like personally with how the UFC be operating sometimes, they can say, hey, bucko, you got your money, you don't get big fights, one or the other. But they said they're going to take care of him. He said they promised him a big fight, so I anticipate him either fighting Dustin, Chandler, or Patty. The most realistic one is probably Chandler, because Chandler, how many wins he got in the UFC? Like 2? 2 wins in the UFC, and he's somehow still top 10. Yo, nah, we're not going to rant about Chandler. We're not going to rant about Chandler. We don't have time for that. This is about UFC 311. We're not going to rant about Chandler. But Patty Pimblett, I feel like, honestly, Patty Pimblett could fight Renato or Beneil, and it makes all the sense in the world, but Patty needs a top 8, 10-ish opponent, for sure. And I think that recaps everything about UFC 311. I know I didn't talk about some of the other fighters, but it's like, from what I understand, a lot of the prelims were kind of mid, so did y'all really want to hear me talk about that? Probably not. And, yeah. And I sacrificed this for y'all. The Ravens are really playing right now, and I recorded this video, and took me like an hour to figure out how to do this mic, but I appreciate y'all. Thank you.